My name is Paul Dizon. I'm from Melbourne, and I'm the Managing Director and the Australian Immigration Specialist for my firm, which is Dizon and Associates. We are we're very proud and privileged to be in partnership with Mount Bell Global. They are one of our partners here, or they're our partner and only partner here in India. It's my first time to be in Kochi, my second time to be in India, but it's nice to actually be in this country. So there's a lot of there's a big Indian community in Australia. I'm sure that someone in this room has a friend or family member who's living in Australia, so I'm sure you know a bit about Australia. I am joined here today with my colleague Peter Singh. Pete's also from Melbourne, and he's our international recruitment manager, and he'll have a little bit of a chat about employment in Australia later on in this session. But because of the bit of a delay, I think there's a mix of audience here. I think we've got some teachers and some IT professionals. But could I get hands up of the teachers in the room? Yep. Good. There's a lot of teachers there. And the IT people in the room? Good. Oh, great. We've got teachers on this side and IT on that side. Good. I've been having some IT issues with my presentation, so maybe you can help me out if I have any problems. That's it. All right, good. All right. Well, look, this is my team. So, as I said, we're based in Melbourne, and we are a team of immigration specialists, recruitment specialists, and lawyers as well. So we have a number of networks and partnerships across the world when it comes to Australian immigration as well as recruitment. I founded the business about 15 years ago, so I have been in practice for a while, and about 5 years ago I expanded into international recruitment because there is a skill shortage that we're experiencing in Australia. So that's our professional license. We're registered with the MARA, which is a part of the Australian Home Affairs Department. We also have a license for New Zealand, but we predominantly work, obviously, in Australia. And as I said, Mount Bell is our local partner here, based in Kochi. And so we're very happy to be working together with them. And if you decide to engage with us, Mount Bell will be facilitating the application process, or the application and recruitment process with you, so that it's coordinated with our team in Australia. Okay. So we're just going to go through. We're going to go through a number of things for the agenda. So I have consolidated the presentation. So parts of it will be for teachers, and parts will be for IT. But generally, we'll talk about the skilled migrant visa, which is a permanent residency visa. It's an independent permanent visa. We'll talk about the migration skills assessments, a little bit about employment and work, and then we'll cover or touch on some of the fees and charges that are related to that. Now, so teaching in Australia. So this is for the teachers. Teachers is actually teaching is a priority occupation at the moment. There's a huge shortage of school teachers, that are needed across Australia, particularly in the regional areas. They are really struggling for educators. And so if you are a teacher and you do have the qualifications, you are in a good space to be looking for opportunities in the education sector. So their statistics show that most of the areas that they're struggling, the schools are struggling, in the regional or outside the main cities. My sister is a teacher. She's a high school teacher, and she runs a department in coastal Queensland, and a lot of the teachers there are already retiring, and a lot of there's also a lot of teachers who are younger teachers who are taking maternity leave because they're having children. So they are like, she is now taking care of. She's filling in for about 2 other teachers at the moment. So she's working around the clock very hard because a lot of the teachers are leaving the schools to do other things. So yes, education and educators are very, very high in demand there. But when you're looking at the types of occupations for teaching, or the teaching areas, they are early childhood teaching, so pre-primary school teachers. There's primary school teachers, middle school, secondary school or high school. So middle and secondary school or high school teachers. Special needs or special education teachers, and teachers of the hearing and sight impaired. Special needs teachers are also high in demand. There are special education schools, but also a lot of the children or students with physical and disabilities and other medical conditions are also integrated into the general school system, I suppose. And so there are a lot of teaching aids that help the classroom teachers to assist the mix of and the diversity of the students in the classroom. So they're the occupations or the demands for these kind of types of educators or teachers. With regards to ICT or IT and cybersecurity specialists, Australia is focusing on the infrastructure of technology and the STEM type of occupation. So there is a strong demand as well. Sorry, I don't know why there are teachers there, but there is a strong demand for IT people, particularly in cybersecurity. I'm not sure if anyone specialises in cybersecurity or networking, but those kind of areas are in high demand because there's a lot of advancement, and Australia wants to be a leader in technology, and so there's a lot of projects and government incentives that are being put in place around this industry. So these are the occupations that are listed for as eligible for permanent residency as well as sponsorship. So you've got business systems analysts, multimedia specialists, programmers, developers, software engineers, database systems and network administrators, and cybersecurity type specialists as well. This is a pathway for not only IT specialists but also for teachers. Okay, so there are generally 2 pathways towards permanent residency or that lead to permanent residency. So usually the first thing that people need to look at is doing a migration skills assessment. A migration skills assessment is a procedure where you submit your qualifications and work experience to an Australian government assessment authority. And that assessment authority then determines whether your skills and qualifications meet the standards of the Australian occupation, of that Australian occupation. Because sometimes foreign qualifications are not the same standard or not the same level of as Australian qualifications. So that's why a skills assessment is a mandatory requirement if you're applying for a skilled migrant visa. But there is one pathway to residency is, as I said, the skilled migrant visa, where there's no employer that's required. So you are able to apply for residency on your own, based on your own credentials and your own factors, and there's no employer that's required for that. The other pathway is a employer-sponsored pathway. Okay, so if there's an employer, an Australian employer who's willing to sponsor you and offers you a job, then in a couple of years you'd be able, if they continue your sponsorship, that can lead to permanent residency as well. The other thing is you can do both. Okay, so sometimes clients apply for their own independent visa, and then they also get a opportunity for employment while their independent visa is processing, and so they come to Australia and work in Australia. On the side, they've got their permanent residency visa being processed. It can be the other way around. If you've got an Australian employer who is offering you a job and you go there for a 3-year temporary work visa, then you can also apply for the permanent independent visa at the same time, so that you obtain your own residency without the reliance on your employer. Does everyone kind of understand? Is everyone okay with what I'm saying at the moment? Up to now? Good. Yes. All right. If you have any questions, we will be having a question and answer session later on at the end of the presentation. But as I said, this is it's a general overview, just to give you an idea. And an understanding of how the visa options or immigration and skilled options are for Australia. Okay, so the skilled migrant visa is the non-sponsored or non-employer pathway. So it's the subclasses, I suppose, they call it. The visa numbers is 189, 190 and 491. So those are the three independent or the skilled migrant visas. Because you don't require an employer, you can apply for it anywhere. So you can apply for it here while you're in India, or if you're working abroad somewhere else, you can apply for the permanent residency visa as well. And then when you are approved the visa, then you become a resident, and so therefore you can move to Australia with yourself and together with your family. So you don't require a sponsorship. The purpose in order to apply for the skilled migrant visa, you are required to be invited, or you can only apply if you're invited by the government. Okay, so every month, the Australian government or the state government, they select people who have expressed an interest for permanent residency, and then they issue an invitation for you to be invited for a PR application. And this is an example of what an invitation looks like. This is a federal government invitation, and this one is a Victorian state government invitation. So this is part of the selection process. So that every month, generally, there's a round, and every month they generally issue invitations to people. So how do you, how do you qualify for this visa? It's under a points test system. So a points test is that there are certain factors and characteristics about you where you can be awarded certain points. And as long as you are under 45 years old and your points are calculated to be at least 65 points or above, then you can actually submit yourself into the invitation pool to be invited for a PR visa. And so your points can be awarded based on your age. So there are age brackets in which you are awarded certain points. Your English proficiency, obviously the higher your English score, the more points that you get. Your educational qualifications, work experience or employment. You can get points for state sponsorship or relative sponsorship. So if you've got a brother or a cousin or an aunt that's living in Australia in a regional area, they can actually give you points as a sponsorship undertaking for your visa. Okay? And then there are other factors as well. To give you an example of a points test scoring system, so let's say there's Priya, who is an elementary school teacher in Bangalore. So she's 35 years old. She gets 25 points. She's done an IELTS score of, got an IELTS score of 8. So that's 20 points. She's got a bachelor degree, work experience for 8 years in India. So that's 15 points each. Her husband has an English test of 6 and gets 5 points, and she has a brother who's in Queensland and gets 5 points. So she actually gets 75 points. So she does meet, and that's actually quite a good points score. So it's 65 is the minimum. So if you got, so she's got 85, so she does qualify to go into the invitation pool. If you're a network administrator, for example, you're 28 years old, 30 points. You've got English test of 7 is 10, a bachelor degree is 15 points, 4 years of work experience in India, 5 points. If you're single, you actually get points for not being married. So anyway, if you want to divorce your husband and wife now, that's fine. That was a joke. You don't have to divorce anyone. But if you are single, you do actually get more points as well, which is strange. I'm not sure what the idea about that is, but yeah. And then he gets 5 points for state sponsorships. So he wants to go to Melbourne or wants to go Victoria. So we can put forward a request for sponsorship in the state of Victoria. But then his total points are 75, so it's still above the 65 minimum. So both those, as you can see, both those scenarios or the factors of those individual people are different, but they still score enough points for this program. The important thing, or the point of me showing you this example, is to give you some context around. Or my point is that your situation, it can be different to someone else's situation. Not just because you think someone else or someone has said, oh, you can do this, you can get this. It's all a case-by-case basis. So it's important to understand, firstly, whether you qualify for the role and the occupation you're in, but also to have an appointment or talk to us to do a points test of your particular circumstances and the factors that affect you. And sometimes you'll be pleasantly surprised, that you've passed the points test, and therefore it gives you it allows you to make an informed decision as to whether this is an option that you should take. Okay, so with regard to skilled migration requirements, you do need to do it's a mandatory requirement to do a migration skills assessment. You do need to have an English language test. So regardless of what occupation you apply for or what profession you're in, you must have an English language test and score at least IELTS 6.5 in each, or PTE 50. If you're a teacher, and I'll cover this in the next slide, but for teachers, because it's a registrable occupation, so there is a teaching registration required, your English test score needs to be actually higher, but I will cover that in a moment. Otherwise, for the IT professionals, there's no professional regulatory body in terms of having to get registered in your IT occupation. So the English score is that score for the visa program. You do have to do health examinations, police certificates, which is standard across most of the visas, or all the visas. Please let me know if you or your family members have a health condition, because your health, or if you have a health condition or complications with health communicable diseases, treatment, that can all affect the requirements for the health criteria. It's the same with police certificates. You do need to please disclose if you've been imprisoned, if you've overstayed somewhere, if you've had any charges, anything that is revealed onto, or you think that will be revealed onto a police record. You should let us know, because they do assessments for character. And they do take character quite seriously. So if you are honest with, in the last session I actually said exactly the same thing, and a person came up to me after and said, I overstayed in the Middle East for more than 5 years, am I going to be okay? I mean, my answer to that is thank you for telling me, yes, you will be okay. Because it wasn't for an Australian, he didn't overstay in Australia. But, anything to do with your character, police records, medical, both physical ailments and psychological ailments or conditions, you should disclose to us, because that may affect the approval of your visa, and we don't want you to be spending money for the whole process and procedure of the visa, when at the end you've got HIV or you've got cancer. Okay, you need to let us know about those things first, so that we can advise you accordingly and give you the right information as to whether this is the option that you should take. Okay, and that's the same with your partner, your spouse, and your children. please, you can include them onto the visa application. They will also get permanent residency. It's just important to note that if your child or your spouse has a medical condition or a criminal record, even though you're the primary or the main applicant, if your child has autism or severe autism, for example, and they don't meet the or they don't pass the health requirement, the whole family is refused. Okay, not you cannot exclude a family member from the application. So they call this the one fail, all fail rule when it comes to some of the visas. Okay. All right, so just in terms of the process and the procedures, the steps around the skilled migrant visa, obviously we calculate your points test. We do have a form. I think some of you may have seen or completed the form. If you haven't, Mount Bell will send you a link to that. That form will allow us to calculate your points for you. You complete the migration skills assessment. I'll go over that in a second. Achieve your English tests. Submit your expression of interest in the invitation pool, and also apply for state sponsorship. If there is a particular state that you want to apply to, you can apply for sponsorship there. Now, you can have a choice of one state, or you can apply across all the states. So whichever wants to accept your application first, you take. Then you wait for the government to invite you to apply for the PR visa, and then you lodge your permanent residency visa, and then about 10 months it usually takes, and then you get your permanent residency from there. So that's the skilled migrant visa program. I think what's important, which I'll cover next, is the skills assessment and the registration. So with regard to teachers, so teachers need to be registered with state governments. They also need to, for the permanent visa, they do need to do a skills assessment, which is done through the Australian Institute for Teaching and School Learning, school leadership. So they call it AITSL. Okay, so AITSL is the government appointed assessing body for international teachers. And you do need to take that, submit that application and get that accepted or approved first. Okay, so it's a formal assessment of your qualifications. You do need to pass it. It is also valid for 3 years, the outcome. So I understand that in India, the teaching qualification is 3+2. Is that correct? Yeah. In Australia, an education degree is 4 years, and then you can do a specialisation afterwards or a postgraduate. But there is a 3+2 type of qualification you can get in Australia as well, which I think aligns with the same here. So you do an undergraduate 3-year bachelor degree in a discipline, and then after you do a 2-year education degree. So that would meet the 4-year of university level education. However, you do need to have a minimum of 45 days of supervised teaching practice, which is required. Do you do, obviously as part of your curriculum when you're at university, or you're doing your education degree, you have practical placements, is that correct? Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, and how many hours is it generally? Official hours. Is it more than 45? More than 45? Oh, good. Yeah, good. Because we do need the AITSL, AITSL will ask for verification from your university about those teaching hours, yeah. So English is a prerequisite for the assessment. So you do need to have IELTS academic, the academic module, and you do need to have reading and writing 7.0, and listening and speaking must be 8.0. Okay, so those are the scores that you must have in order to pass the skills assessment requirement and the registration requirement. So for teachers, do your English test first before you apply for registration or a skills assessment, because they won't accept your application unless you give your you do your you achieve your IELTS test. And of course, you'll have your employment references as well, if you want to be assessed for your employment experience. With the IT professionals, it's done through the Australian Computing or Australian Computer Society, ACS. ACS are the organisation that that assesses the qualifications and work experience of both IT and data science occupations. There is no formal regulatory body when it comes to IT professionals. However, you do need to do the ACS skills assessment for the purposes of the skilled migrant visa. This is just a sample of the qualification requirements in order to pass an IT pass the standards for the IT role or IT occupation. So you can either hold a bachelor degree in IT and have a major in it, or and then there's an element of work experience required. Now, there are some IT professionals who don't have the formal qualification and they have a lot of work experience. So they will also accept IT or assess IT professionals based on their work experience in substitute of a formal university qualification. Okay, but I know that most IT professionals do have a bachelor degree at least, and usually with a major in one of the IT areas. And so, though, they would only need 2 years of work experience to pass the ACS assessment. However, if you don't have a formal qualification in your work and you're relying on your work experience, the only way you can get assessed successfully is if you've got at least 6 years of work experience. So, with IT people, the work experience requirement or the minimum you need to pass it depends on the qualification that you hold. There is no English requirement to do the ACS assessment. They don't need an English test. You can do the English test after you've passed the ACS skills assessment, because the English test will be for the visa and not the skills assessment. Whereas with teachers, as with all professional regulatory or regulated occupations, including healthcare, nursing, teaching, lawyers, doctors, you need the English test before you approach the registry for licensing, okay, and skills assessment. Okay. Does anyone have any questions so far? Yes. Yeah.
So I just wanted to know how this assessment is done. Is there any kind of interviews or tests?
No. So and this is for both teachers and IT people, professionals. It's all documentation based assessment. Yeah. So there is no demonstration or interview or anything like that. It's all based on your paperwork. And so that's why it's important to make sure that your documentation is accurate and legible and truthful as well. I think there's a lot of assumptions around, whether something is, and for example, employment reference or employment letter. A lot of employers from certain countries have just a statement that says you've been employed here from this date to this date as a this title or this occupation. So that's not an acceptable document. There's a certain standard and format that the Australian assessment bodies require, and there's when you're proving your employment, you also have to provide evidence of paid employment. So that means like pay slips, your income tax, your bank statements if they are putting money into your account, or your salary into your bank account. So in answer to your question, even though there's no interviewing or there's no practical assessment, they are very thorough with the documentation standards that you provide. Is that okay? Yeah. Does anyone have any other questions before we move on? Yes, ma'am. Sorry. Yeah.
So hi, I'm Leah.
Hi, Leah.
I'm an English teacher and I teach English.
Yes.
So I have a question. Like, Australia is basically an English-speaking country. So as an English teacher, do I have a chance or opportunity to be a teacher over there?
Yes, because it's a very multicultural country. So English as a second. So my sisters all did a major in ESL, which is English as a second language, and so. But are you talking about English as a second language, or are you talking about English grammar, English subject?
I do teach literature, and I teach for the secondary wing, and I'm done with my master's. So I thought maybe if I get a chance.
And are you you've got your teaching? Are you do you have an education degree?
3+2 masters.
Okay, 3 masters. Yeah. So English teachers. So the main areas of demand for teachers are in STEM subjects, but also language subjects and humanities subjects as well, particularly in regional areas and multicultural communities. All types of teachers are needed, and humanities teachers should not be undermined or undervalued because of that. Yeah.
Let me asking another question.
Yeah.
You were discussing about the learning strategy, like some 45 days supervised learning strategy.
Yeah.
Actually, I didn't get that point. Can you just repeat what kind of strategies?
So the learning, that's practical placement. So in Australia, when you do a teaching degree, part of the training is to put you into a supervised practice in a school setting.
It's going to be done in India or maybe after going there?
No. It's actually, they have to assess whether you've done it as part of your course. Yeah.
B.Ed. Okay. So B.Ed is kind of a thing which is required there, right?
So we have a B.Ed if you're doing a Bachelor of Education, but for the postgraduate, it's a master's or a postgraduate diploma in education.
Teaching and learning or something. Okay, thank you.
All right, no worries. Sorry, go on. Yep.
Hi, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Dr. Anthony.
Sorry, is that?
Yes, sir. Sir, actually, I have done my PhD in environmental sciences.
Yeah.
And I worked as a guest lecturer in universities.
Yes.
Then it was in guest. The payment is not in regular. Mm-hmm. Then I cannot prove the monthly payment as such a regular date.
Okay.
Then is there any alternative for the documentation?
So generally speaking, and I know you're not the first person who's talked about irregularities or methods of salary payment. So they just need enough evidence to show that you that you have been paid for the work that you did. So there's a mix of different types of documents like pay slips and salary. So if you've got pay slips, you've got income tax, but you don't have a bank statement with a salary, then that's fine, because you've got at least 2 pieces of evidence of paid salary. When you talk about irregular payments, is it not paid? So it's monthly salary? Okay. Is it this? Is it every? How do you mean it's not exact payment? Like the date is not the same, or what? How do you mean?
It much more extended for than 1 month. It is not regular.
Okay, but then is it full time?
No.
Oh, so it's casual, like depending on the hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Look, in terms of full-time, so there is a mix of full-time, there's different types of employment hours. So you can have full-time employment, part-time or casual employment. So normally in Australia, full-time employment is 38 hours a week. Part-time is at least 20 hours a week. And casual is a bit here and a bit there whenever you're needed. And I know with educators, especially if you have tenure at a university or a lecturer, a tutor, or sometimes I don't know if you have substitute teaching or like emergency teaching to fill classes, then sometimes if you work through an agency or something, you would get, some days here and there. Now, when an Australian authority assesses or the requirement for work experience, if it's full-time, then it's easy. If it's part-time, they also accept part-time employment. However, 1 year of full-time employment equals 2 years of part-time employment. So if you're required to provide at least 1 year of work experience and you only work you only work part-time, then you have to actually present 2 years of part-time experience, if that makes sense.
Clear.
Yeah. Yes.
So myself is Simi.
Yes.
Sorry, I lost my sound due to cold.
Oh, okay. I hope you're okay.
So can you explain the process step by step once again? One more query is that how much the amount we need to pay for the Australian migration, for the process?
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
So costs and fees, I'll just cover at the end a little bit about the fees and the charges around it.
Moreover, I'm just pursuing my TOEFL 2 right now. I'm just doing the last one. So should I get any extra point for that?
For doing the which one?
TOEFL, teaching English as a
TOEFL.
foreign language.
TOEFL.
Yeah, I'm just doing it.
So you're doing the TOEFL.
Yeah, of course, sir. I'm just doing it. Will be completing the end of the month itself.
Oh, okay, yes. TOEFL, I believe, is accepted as for the visa, for the skilled migrant program. I don't know, it's uncommon in Australia, the TOEFL test. It's accepted. I don't know. Have you started the AITSL or the skills?
I just started but stopped because of some personal issues, because baby was not feeling that. So some family issues came in between that.
Right.
So could just
Okay.
stop it.
Okay.
But it will be continued.
Okay. Yeah. That's okay. Yeah. It might be worth. Do you mind if we sit down and one-on-one and go through some of the things that you're doing, and then I can go through step by step in your particular situation, because you've got
I'm a bit eager to know what is the amount, because I could contact some of the consultancies and whatever the amount they have mentioned was high.
Right.
And it's not equal. So different amounts they have mentioned. So I would like to know how much is the exact. Not only myself, those who are sitting here, all are eager to know about it.
Okay, yeah, no worries. I'll cover that. I won't do it right now, but I'll cover it for you in a minute later on. I'll just finish off this
Thanks.
part. Thank you very much. Do we have any other questions? Yes.
Hello, sir. My name
Yes.
is Chaya,
Yes.
and I have a query regarding the 45 days training program which you have mentioned earlier.
Right.
And you said that those who we have already have a custom in India that we do bachelor's in education,
Right.
which includes the training program.
Right.
So if
Placement, yeah.
those who are pursuing there, do they have to repeat this 45-day training program again?
Not if it's incorporated in your.
Yeah, it's incorporated
yeah.
in our bachelor's of education degree.
Yeah.
So do we have to repeat that?
No. So you have to. So you need to show that the 45 days of practical placement was part of your bachelor's curriculum, part of the program of your education.
But when certificates are issued from university, they don't specially mention those 45 days training. They just the exams conducted and the marks, it will be only graded in the sheet.
Oh, okay. So, but then, yeah.
In Indian universities, we have to separately apply for getting that certificate.
Oh, okay.
For 45 days
Yeah.
teaching experience, we have to separately do that.
So you have to do a separate application to request the certificate of that 45 days. Okay. So you have to do that then. Yeah.
But, we may not need to repeat there, I suppose.
No, you don't, because the Victorian, that's the, you don't need to do upskilling or additional training in Australia if you pass the registration and the the skills assessment for teaching. Yeah.
Okay.
So the 45 days practical placement is part of the qualification assessment for the teaching profession. Yeah. Oh, for AITSL. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank
And you'll
you,
have to, if you have to apply separately, then, get that certificate, you'll have to do that. Yeah.
Sure.
I just want to add on to this. Like I have done some enquiries related to teaching in Australia.
Yeah.
So what I have understood is like there is secondary school teaching positions available, also vocational teaching positions.
Yes.
So for secondary teaching positions, the IELTS score is quite higher actually, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
But through one other consultancy, I came to know that there is option for vocational teachers. They do not require this particular certificate, which you mentioned right now.
Yeah, because vocational teachers are different types of teachers to the. So you're talking about vocational education teacher, is that? Yeah. So you're a vet. That's a vet teacher. So we call it vocational education teacher for those who are. It's almost like college, like after high school or say after year 10, when they finish high school, they do a vocational course instead of like. Yeah, it's post high school course, and you're usually teaching young adults. Is that?
So is there any major difference between both the courses, like in terms of pay scale and all, or the qualifications required?
In terms of, they're two different assessment bodies. So vocational education teachers are not governed they're not governed, and they're not assessed by the AITSL. And they're not, and vocational education teachers are not, they don't require necessarily, they don't need to be registered as a teacher in Australia because they're vocational education teachers. Vocational education teachers only need to have a bachelor degree in a particular discipline, and something called a certificate for and training in education. It's not really it's not at the level and professional level and regulated occupation as with the other teachers that I'm talking about here. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Hello, sir. Myself, Libin. Can you explain about the physical education teachers' opportunities in Australia?
Well, there's a lot of Australians like sports.
And specialization in tennis.
Oh, you're a tennis. Actually, my colleague, my one of my managers, her coach is from India, Kim's coach. I will probably get Pete. Okay, we're about to talk about working in Australia, but Pete can answer some questions about some of the opportunities for
One
you.
more thing.
Yeah.
I have done my post graduation in economics, but I taken BPed in physical education.
Okay, so you've done your BP. Did
Only
you?
bachelor degree in
Bachelor.
physical education only.
Okay, you did a bachelor degree in PE, and then that was your
Before-
3 years.
Before that, I have done PG in economics also, post graduation.
Postgraduate degree in.
There is no PG degree in physical education.
Oh, okay. So, but you did a bachelor degree, is that right?
Yeah.
And then you did the 2-year education degree.
Yes.
Yeah. So if it's 3 plus 2, it should be fine.
But I have almost 7 years experience, teaching experience in physical education. That's university itself.
At where? A university?
MG University.
Okay, at a university.
Mahatma Gandhi University.
Oh, that's the name of the university.
yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. So, but you have had 7 years of experience in teaching in a school. Is that right?
University itself.
Okay.
Not school, it's a university.
Are you teaching school kids?
No.
So then it
College,
won't be
college.
yeah. So this is very important to understand that when they do the occupation, sorry guys, I'll just go back. So there is a reason why. There's a reason why they have categorized teachers this way, because they are cross-referencing your experience according to age group. Okay, so it doesn't, generally speaking, you need to be in a formal teaching environment, in a regulated teaching environment. If you are early childhood teacher, your work experience has to be between the ages of, I think, 2 to 6, primary school 6 to 10, 6 to 12 or 13, middle school 13 to or 10 to 15, I think, secondary school up to 18. So if you're working at if you're at a university and you're not teaching and you're teaching students that are not in those age brackets or age groups, then this isn't the skills assessment that you should be applying for.
One more thing. In PT, it's only 50 is the eligibility, or if we are scoring 65, our points will be more.
So the points test is based on the score. So the higher the score, the more points. So I haven't put the scoring system here. But if you do the assessment form or you book a time with Mount Bell, they can do the point score for you. But generally speaking, IELTS 6 is 0, IELTS 7 is 10, IELTS 8 is 20. Yeah. Good. All right. Do you have any IT people who want to ask a question? No. Look, thank you for those questions. I will get back to you around the process a bit later on. But we'll move forward to to working in Australia. Shall we take a quick break or we continue? We might have a quick break. It's something to, there's some juice and tea there, and then we'll come back in about 10-15 minutes.